Heck yeah, let's get it rocking and rolling in here. It's Tuesday night. It is the time. We got Facebook's wheels spinning, 1 and 2. All right, welcome in. Like I said, it is Tuesday evening. Everybody be on your best behavior. Boss man Chad is down there with Scott hanging out in Mobile, Alabama. So we are two fools on the loose here without any adult oversight. So be well behaved in the chat. We can't promise we will be either, but it's time. It's unfortunately our time of the year, Carl. This is building the Broncos, and we had the postseason press conference, which we're going to get as much information from these guys until we hear from them in the combine coming up here. So, because the Broncos don't do the free agency press conferences. So, yeah, this is what we have to go on right now. And before we even get into that, I want to ask you, how are you doing? I noticed that you got a pretty snazzy haircut going on there, looking pretty good. What's new in Carl's neck of the woods?
Yeah, my son and I, we went for our haircuts because his hair was getting a little crazy. He'd really let it go. I mean, it was getting big, and he was like, "Dad, I can't take care of it anymore." So we had to go get haircuts, and I had to get mine trimmed up. I think I was a victim of ageism. Well, I told the lady, I said, I wanted this fade, and I said I wanted it down to the skin around my ear.
Yeah.
And I think she looked at me and was like, "Are you sure about that? Like, aren't you a little old to be getting that kind of haircut?"
Did she call you Unc?
No, not quite, but she was pretty close
Gramps
on those things. So I felt a little ageism going on there, but she did it. And I think by the end, she's like, "Okay, yeah, that looks okay."
Yeah. Yeah, we got Dennis coming in here asking if he's banned from Super Chats there. Here, Dennis, I'm going to get you in 4K here real quick so we can send that to the boss. Everyone say hi.
Click.
Okay. Yeah, we're a producer list right now, but I can't imagine that you're banned on YouTube unless you are being stinker. Typically, I am very open-minded on YouTube unless you're saying like outright racist stuff or you're just constantly badgering the chat. But Scott and Dylan have quick trigger fingers. They don't put up for much. See, I'm a fool myself, so I can handle a little foolishness, but I can't imagine. So I will I'll get back to you on that, Dennis, or check in, but I will send that to Chad here pretty soon. But thanks for coming in on Facebook. We also got our guy Papa Bear, David Micklerath, coming in here saying good evening, Broncos country. Good to see you. $2 super chat, a member as well. Speaking of members, that sounded bad. We're off the rails. Mike Thompson coming in says, I have to assume they fired Joe Lombardi to keep Webb. We'll get into that here, but he's answering the prompt immediately. Good to see you, David Youngkin. Yeah, Webb is one of the 2 finalists for the head coach for the job for the Raiders. Yes, he does not end up getting the Bills job. However, there is some downstream ramifications for the Bills announcing Joe Brady today, potentially, as it pertains to the Broncos, but we'll get into that. Our guy Paul coming in here. Happy Tuesday. Appreciate you. Chase Wellner, always coming in here. Get to your home ball. Always appreciate you. Emily X Test Prep. Davis Webb, my beloved. Wow. A little far there. But no, I mean, if he does stick around, it'll be great to hear. Paul said Carl got his ears lowered. Sorry, that was pretty funny. Denver Luke, howdy. Howdy. I love using howdy. I use all my emails with howdy. I'm from Iowa, but I think, can embody the West a little bit there. It's kind of the cross of farm/ranch with that. So I use howdy all the time. Howdy, y'all, and folks. Those are very much in the vernacular, and they're inclusive. So you got to love it. Michael Ronquillo, good evening, Nick and Carl on Building the Broncos. Man, appreciate you, Michael. Always good to see you. Kyle, I did it right. Davis Webb will be the OC. Very, very possible. Our guy Greg Smith, good evening, Broncos country. Dennis says he's not like that at all. I believe you, Dennis. So I don't know, maybe something weird on the link there. We'll figure it out. Stephen Baumgartner coming in here with the Bo Nix in the Navy picture here. It says member for 4 months. Man, I can't stick to anything for 4 months. So shout out to you, Steven. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Roy asks, what's going on behind closed doors in Broncos country? I don't know. Daniel Berry Sports, happy Tuesday, everyone. Ryan asks, what city in Iowa? I'm originally from the Quad Cities, Davenport, Iowa, born and raised. And I hopped with the river, went 4 years at Augustana College on the Mississippi River. I got an out-of-state tuition reimbursement for being like 15 minutes from campus, where everybody from Chicagoland was 3 hours and they didn't get that. So that was great. And then I lived in Iowa City for 8 years. So yeah, gotta love Iowa. They're going to the Big Ten schedule was announced today, Carl, and Iowa will be playing at the Washington Huskies on October 10th. So
Ooh,
I gotta get out there. Got to get out there. Phil, who's the other guy? Yeah, Carl. He's also sitting further away than I am, so he looks like a little bit smaller than I do, or it makes me look like my head is giant. But it's all good. Liquid Alchemy coming in. I love you, Broncos country. What an amazing season we had. Remember, there is no sweet if you haven't tasted sour. Nothing but sweetness coming from our way going forward. Yeah, I think the Broncos losing Bo Nix and Dobbins and wide receiver 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 or 2 and 4, however you want to rank them with Mims. And then obviously Bo Nix going down. Like, it obviously stinks to have lost the AFC Championship game, but I'm personally over it. And I was already thinking that it was a very enjoyable, successful season. And the most fun I've had watching a Broncos team in a long time. And I think a lot, I mean, obviously they went 14-3, Carl, number 1 seed, win the AFC West. I don't think they have a question about the quarterback anymore. And I know that I've been like one of the most reluctant people to say that. And I'm not ready to say like, oh, he's no doubt like every single list should be top 10, but he's somewhere top 14. He could work his way into the top 6. I think he's had the traits to do that. Year 3 in the system as well. I'm damn excited. I think like that is such a onus off of my shoulders and Broncos countries too, I'm sure. Because like when you're watching it and you don't believe in the quarterback, you feel like it's like this is inevitably going to end poorly. And like, what do we even have to show for it? I believe in Sean Payton. As I always say, I'm Sean Payton built, and I believe in Bo Nix going forward. Again, is it going to be like Josh Allen MVP? Doesn't have to be. Like, who cares? We'll figure it out. But I think he's got a chance to be in the top 10, and that's a quarterback you pay and you have for the next decade. So, like, this is the one that my son's going to remember growing up. That's the confidence I have in this quarterback.
Yeah. It's like for us, John Elway was that guy that we got to grow up with. Our kids get to grow up with Bo Nix. My kids are a little bit older, so they kind of remember some of the other guys, but they're not really going to remember Drew Lock or I don't even want to think.
Teddy Bridgewater,
Trevor Siemian. Yeah. The long list of all the different guys. And so, yeah, Bo Nix, it's easy to see. I mean, late in that game, when Broncos were down, and I turned to my kids, I'm like, this is where, if we had Bo Nix, I'd be like, we're winning this game. I just have that level of confidence that he's going to go make some kind of play, either with his legs or with his arm, that's going to help you win the game. Like, he kind of reminds, not fully of John Elway, but like John Elway can have a bad game, but somehow be hero at the end of the game because he just finds a way. In the biggest moments, he shows up. And now, yeah, from week to week, we didn't always see the complete consistency from John Elway that you would love. But the reason that he's Hall of Fame is because that guy had ice in his veins, and the biggest moments were like his favorite. And I feel Bo Nix is in a similar vein going in that direction for his career. And I think he can have a better ability in quarters 1 through 3 than what sometimes John Elway showed.
Yeah.
If we can get a little more consistency, then we're not having the fourth quarter heroics every week like we've had to have this year. That's the hope. And maybe we get a little bit of a run game going. That would be nice to take a little pressure off Bo Nix, where he's not having to be the leading attempts quarterback 2 years in a row and putting all that pressure on a young quarterback like that. You know, I know some people will be like, well, you know, Drake May doesn't have the weapons. He at least has a run game. It's not all on him to have to go out there and perform week in, week out. And I mean, he still did. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a reason he's a top 5 quarterback.
But
yeah, not in the playoffs. Yeah, he's. I think about that. Of right now, I would definitely have Bo Nix over Drake May for a playoff game. If I was going to put him in different situations, because Drake May did not look good in any of these playoff games.
To be fair, probably 3 of the top 6 defenses played as well. And his offensive line, I mean, let's just call it out. Will Campbell's a lemon out there at tackle. Get ready to learn guard, buddy. But yeah, thank you so much, Liquid Alchemy. Carl, if you check your mic for me, you sound pretty quiet. I'm not sure if it's coming through your actual mic there. Dixon says heroism is the worst. I wouldn't know. No, I'm getting a haircut on Friday. I don't think I'm thinning, but I'm getting whites, like fluorescent lights. I might as well have like glow sticks in my hair. It's pretty upsetting. It all started about October 27th, 2019 anniversary. My wife loves that joke. We all got Pearl Heater in the house. Great to see you, Pearl. Always one of our best. We got Becklow coming in and says, Peyton offensive wizard carried by his defense. Scapegoats his non-play calling OC, likely in order to block Davis Webb from getting a better job by promoting him. Pure class as always. I think you got an axe to grind here. Bowicklow 1251. The Broncos are not going to block Davis Webb if he does get offered a head coach opportunity. And also if he wanted to, I guess we'll hear, if he was offered an OC elsewhere and wanted to go and the Broncos blocked him, that would be something. And then we'd have to change our opinion here. As far as the defense carrying the team, I thought it ended up being a pretty balanced team on the whole. Obviously, the offense imploded on itself in that New England game, but backup quarterback, weird weather, really small sample size. I'm not going to fault them too much for that. I think this team ends up being top 12 in EPA per play on offense this season, top 14. And I think they only end up being like top 8 in EPA per play defense because they couldn't take the freaking ball away other than the Bills game. So, yeah, I mean, I think he definitely is a pretty good offensive play caller. And I mean, you might not like the guy, but results kind of speak for themselves with the turnaround that he's had now. Can he sustain it? We'll see. I mean, that old ball coach, you kind of heard Dre Greenlaw talk about the differences of coaching from Shanahan and the 49ers with Sean Payton. But yeah, I don't know. I'm Sean Payton pilled, so I'm going to try to be objective, but I think that he's done a pretty damn good job here in Denver.
And I mean, yes, the offense has had its ups and downs for sure. But as we talked about earlier, you lose your best running back who
the only one who can run between the tackles.
Right. The only one that had any kind of level of consistency in the run game. Your number 2, number 3, number 4 wide receiver, like you said earlier, you don't know what to really call them. They're interchangeable a little bit. Injuries, drops are a problem. I mean, we're going to talk about a wide receiver coach that just got fired today for the Broncos, Colbert. And during the press conference, Sean Payton brought that up. Hey, they're not being coached right. They're not taught the right way of trying to catch a football. That became an issue. So, I mean, it was kind of writing on the wall for that guy when he's getting called out in the press conference. It's kind of going, this guy better be putting his resume back out there, seeing what he can find for sure. And so, I mean, maybe better coaching at the wide receiver position can help some of those guys. I don't think that's going to stop them from also looking at wide receiver. I think we'll talk about that press conference a little bit of, I do think the Broncos will be aggressive. Maybe good chance we don't have our first round pick because they're trying to trade for somebody, most likely a weapon. And then we're having a whole different kind of conversation about what this group looks like for Bo Nix moving forward.
Yeah, it will be interesting to follow. We got a big one here from Glenn. As we hide behind it here. Good afternoon, Nick, Carl, on Broncos country. Unlike many, I'm really proud of our year. I think that many people are proud of your year. It's probably a little bit more people who are upset enough working their way to social media or something to voice their displeasure. But I think a lot of people, it's disheartening. It stinks to lose, right? But I think like you ask people a week from now, like, oh yeah, hell of a season. I had so much fun. I mean, I'm never going to forget that Broncos-Giants game and beating the Chiefs twice. I mean, it was an amazing season. Just did not end the way you wanted, but that's true for 31 of 32 teams. So being decimated on offense made it extremely tough. The weather was brutal. Cornerback cut gave incoming DC a prime assistant. Would love a young mind in the secondary. Cap room for wide receiver 1. Smart draft and the right cuts. We'll see us back in the championship game. We need new minds on OC and wide receiver. Happy for the cuts. Yeah, the Broncos also, Glenn is getting out of the chats, kind of talked about it as well, but Broncos not only fire offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi, but wide receiver coach Kerry Colbert and cornerbacks coach Addison Lynch. So a little bit surprising about the cornerbacks coach. But Sean Payton did release a statement saying, I want to thank these coaches for playing an important role in elevating our program over the last 3 seasons. I've been fortunate to work with Joe Lombardi for 15 years, and I'm particularly grateful for his many contributions to our success as an offensive coordinator. We sincerely appreciate Joe, Kerry, and Addison's hard work and wish them all the best in the future. So there you have it. Broncos have 3 coaches out for now. We'll see if Davis Webb leaves or anything, or potentially Zach Strief as well. We're keeping an eye out for him as a potential offensive coordinator being poached. And then also Jim Leonhard, who apparently is the front runner for the Bills defensive coordinator spot. So we'll see. But you do sound better, Carl. And what it sounds really good is Deanna Hendry coming in, $50, saying, hello, everyone. Hello to you for $50. It's amazing. Who else fired? Well, we just answered that for you. 3 head coaches there. Do you think Vance Joseph's going to stay? Webb? We need to go all out for top players this offseason. Go Broncos. So we're still kind of waiting for Davis Webb. I don't know if you caught the clever quip from Sean Payton today. Said that would be tough for Davis Webb if he went to the Raiders because of the division and the Broncos beating the Raiders. So I think Sean was making a joke there. But he comes across as dry, and if you don't like him, then he's an a-hole. But he's our a-hole here right now. And it does sound like Vance Joseph is going to be bypassed this cycle, who I feel really bad for. I think he deserved a shot. And I think the Cardinals were going to hire him, but there was a lot of fan and media sentiment that it was not a good move. So I don't know if they hired somebody else already, Carl, the Cardinals.
Not yet.
It sounds like it's going to be the LaFleur, not the one that's in Green Bay, but the one who's former offensive coordinator for the Jets for a while, and I think is the offensive coordinator, passing game coordinator or something with the Rams. So look out for insert first name LaFleur for the Cardinals position.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in a little bit if Cleveland comes back because they're having trouble finding anybody that wants that job, and even the Raiders. Let's say Webb doesn't go there and Kubiak continues on, and they want to get something done soon. Maybe VJ is that guy that they're like, okay, let's bring him in and see what he can do. I mean, I don't mind if he stays here in Denver. I know some people, they don't like the late season fall off for the defense, and I get it. I mean, that's got to be something they work on, and I do know that there's some complaints that, not that it gets figured out. I mean, it is kind of that it gets figured out a little bit, but you look at that AFC Championship game, even before the weather set in, that defense was rocking and rolling. They look good, and so I do think the players really love him. He's well respected. I think part of like Hufanga and Greenlaw and some of those guys coming, it's because they like Vance Joseph. I mean, it's more than that, but I do think because he's a well-respected person around the league, it's good to keep him. And, yes, it would be nice to have the 2 third-round comp picks, but the Broncos still have a lot of draft picks already and not many roster spots open, and they can still be aggressive in free agency. Losing that 3rd-round pick isn't going to be the end-all be-all of us winning the championship or not winning the championship. Having a really good defensive coordinator that knows these players and how to get the most out of them, that can help. Guys not having to learn a whole new system that you can get down to some of the more nitty-gritty details that maybe make this defense go even a step further. Yeah, I can take that. So, yeah, I think right now I like where the Broncos are at coaching-wise. Davis Webb, I hope we get to keep him because I do think he is a really good coach. But I also wouldn't mind if the Broncos looked outside of what's inside the Broncos right now. Go get a guy that is known for developing a run game. Go get a guy that can come in and actually figure some things out for us so we can have a consistent threat that isn't just Bo Nix. I think the biggest thing for his development moving forward, if we really want to see him maximized, it's going to come through the idea that we don't put everything on his shoulders every game. I just think that's going to be a big deal. And we got Shannon Mills coming in. Thank you very much. Saying with the 1999 super saying, good evening. Hope the new OC can work on run blocking with the O-line and fix the drops with wide receivers. Optimistic about next season. Go Broncos. Yeah, Shannon, that's like I said, that's exactly what I was talking about. Finding a guy that can bring in a little bit better run scheme. It's not that Sean Payton doesn't have a decent run scheme, but I think there's some better options out there to kind of mix things up, figure out better ways for the offensive line to block things up. And then it's just going to be about finding a running back too.
I think the scheme does need tinkering, but I think it was more of a personnel issue for a lot of the season. And I think you saw it with J.K. Dobbins going down. Harvey, one of the longest time behind the line of scrimmage of any running back in football this season, not seeing it very well and struggling just as a between the tackles runner. Now he's got the body type to be okay there. He's built low. Like he's not like a, Darren Sproles, like tiny, but just didn't really work out between the tackles. Jaleel is too one-dimensional. Same with Bidet. And also honestly, I have a lot of issue with the auxiliary blocking from this team as well. So I think the offensive line pretty good there. Troy Franklin, not a good blocker this season. I thought Sutton struggled there a good bit, and your tight ends, other than Nate Atkins, next to nothing from the blocking. You saw it in the screen game too. And then of course, like the running back itself. So yeah, the Broncos need to improve the run game. And honestly, that was the number one takeaway, I think, from a personnel perspective from today. We're hearing from Sean Payton and George Payton. Now, they said they like the wide receivers. That to me does not mean that they're not going to go make a move for a wide receiver one, because when you look at this team, something they need is an offensive weapon they can build the identity around. Like right now, they have a bunch of like good pieces, but nobody that is like, okay, we're game planning for this player. Just haven't had that person. And it could be a running back, tight end, or a wide receiver. Just for every one tight end and one running back like that, there are 4 wide receivers. So it's easier to find a wide receiver in theory.
Yeah. And that's why, like earlier, I hinted at the idea that we might not have our first round pick, because I think Sean Payton, he's not the most patient guy in the world. He wants to win now. I mean, we saw with New Orleans that he was willing to borrow from the future to win now, because he's like, I don't know what the future is going to hold. I do know what this team can be right now. And George Payton talked about it. This is the first time that I've heard him talk being very, very aggressive. Like usually he's very measured and, oh yeah, we're going to look at this, but don't expect us to go too crazy. This time he's like, nope, we're ready. And then Sean Payton's like, he was using the analogy of, we've been working on a $50,000 budget to remodel our house. Now we're working on a $200,000 budget to remodel our house, with the Russell Wilson money finally off the books. And so I expect them to be willing to be aggressive and see what they could do. Maybe it is wide receiver, go get a guy. I know some people won't like this name, but AJ Brown would be a pretty good fit for this system. The routes he likes to run, I think Sean Payton can get a lot out of him. He would like to be here because it is a high volume system when it comes to the passing game. So he's going to get his targets, where Jalen Hurts, I think I looked it up, he only had 3 games all season where he had 35 or more passing attempts in a game. Bo Nix, it was 11 games. And quite a few of those that he didn't have it were either bad weather games or games that were completely already out of, like the Dallas game. Broncos had that game wrapped up pretty early. So you didn't need him to go out there and throw it 30 or 40 times to win that game. So I think the Broncos will be pretty aggressive with that and see what they can get. And like I said, I think in the run game, finding guys that are really good at helping in the run game will be big. Finding a tight end that you can trust to go get a block. Pat Bryant staying healthy. He was a good run blocker, but he just didn't have as much time on the field. Like I said, Troy Franklin, not good. Cortland Sutton, probably his worst run blocking season I've seen from him. And that's a problem.
Yeah, it was a problem this year. But it's not a problem, Carl? Getting good food delivered to your door.
Yeah, guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where you can get the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants all across the U.S. And it's perfect for game day, Valentine's Day, or anything else you have going on. Guys, this really is amazing. Goldbelly will ship you iconic Chicago deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's, the original buffalo wings from Anchor Bar in Buffalo, Guy Fieri's unbelievable trash can nachos, real Philly cheesesteaks, or even the legendary Franklin's barbecue straight from Texas to your door. And with Valentine's Day coming up, they also have great gifts like award-winning dinners from Peter Luger Steakhouse, world-famous macaroons from Luderie, and even the exact cake served at JFK's wedding to Jackie O.
Philly cheesecake always catches my eye, and it's absolutely delicious. It was high-quality grub delivered to my door, and it lived up to the lofty expectations I had of the legendary Philly cheesesteak. It was like having a culinary piece of Philadelphia shipped to me hassle-free. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with quality from an online food ordering site, but Goldbelly absolutely delivers. This tasted amazing. So whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends, or you want to impress a loved one on Valentine's Day, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MileHigh. That's goldbelly.com, code MileHigh for 20% off your first order. Shout out to them. Let's keep it rocking and rolling here. Denver Luke in the house. Scott's in Alabama right now. He's not in the background, but he's enjoying all the big defensive tackles down there because the Falcons need a little meat in the middle of their line. They are lacking there. Michael Ronquillo, the general manager, George Payton, said today that the Broncos will be aggressive in free agency and the NFL draft. They know they're close. I think there has to be the right opportunity arise for them. But I think right now, just listening to them talk, and we've talked about it in our chat as well, Carl, right now I don't expect the Broncos to pick at 30 overall. And whether it be trading up from 30 or trading that pick for a veteran. I mean, obviously at the end of the day, you don't want to force anything because that's a cost-controlled player that helps. Like, you want to be a tentpole player for your team long-term, but this team's in a 3-year window, 4-year window right now, just with how quarterback, like, you only have 2 more years of Bo Nix cost control. Yeah, but with how contracts are, the first 2 years of whatever new deal will also be minimal against the cap, most likely.
Right.
So you're probably in a 3 to 4 year window right now. I think they're going to push their chips to the center of the table, as they probably should. Now, there's a difference between aggressiveness and stupidity. The latter being here talking right now. But that is something that I think I would be pretty surprised if they end up staying at 30.
I would too. I really think they're looking at this past game, losing 10-7. You've got one player that makes one play, and that game's a whole different outcome. We're talking Broncos in the Super Bowl. So they, like I said, they know they're close. They just need a couple more weapons on the offense. Defensively, linebacker is going to be a big position to figure out what they're doing moving forward with Singleton, free agent. Cernad's a free agent. Greenlaw, how much can you trust him going into next season? I'm not 100% sure. And he's an easy year contract to get out of. So I do think the Broncos will look a lot at that. I know Cernad said the only way that he comes back to Denver is if it's for a starting job. He's no longer going to be this third emergency option special teams guy. He wants a starting job, and he's earned it. He's earned a multi-year contract. And I mean, if I was picking between Cernad or Singleton, I would probably take Cernad. I think he offers a little bit more full around ability on the field in both pass and the run game. And he's younger, doesn't have the injury history, and he can help on special teams too. So I think he would be the better choice at this time. But we'll have to see what the Broncos end up doing there. And then, yes, they do have decent cap space. It's not huge, but cash is always king compared to cap. Broncos can work as many contracts as they want. I mean, this last offseason, they were saying, oh, yeah, we'll be measured. And then they go sign Hufanga, Greenlaw, Ingram. So they can make whatever they want to work. And I think that I do expect running back, tight end, linebacker, those three positions to be the ones that they spend decent money at. And then they fill out the rest, maybe wide receiver in a trade. I can't see them bringing a free agent wide receiver, a big name, because I don't think there's going to be really any that actually hit the market.
I don't think Alec Pierce or Kyle Pitts, who are probably the two big pass catchers, in my opinion, like potential wise, second contract, very talented traits. I don't think either of them hit the open market. I don't think they make it.
I don't either. So I know I've seen some other names thrown around. CeeDee Lamb for a trade from Dallas, as Michael Ronquillo was saying. I have a hard time believing that they're going to let him after them picks. Yeah, we're just going to turn into the Rams. Hey, it got him a Super Bowl. Yeah. So I can't really argue with the results of what they were able to do there. And as I said earlier, AJ Brown's another name. We'll have to see with the Dolphins if they're willing to let Waddle be on the open, be available for a trade. I know some people have talked about Justin Jefferson being upset with Minnesota and the direction that they're going. I can't see them willing to trade him, but it's at least worth the phone call just to see what it would take to get him. Because could you imagine Justin Jefferson here in Denver? I mean, I'm pretty sure most people start viewing the Broncos as a Super Bowl favorite at that point. If you add that level of talent to your offense,
it would definitely change the conversation, without a doubt. And I don't know if you threw out this name, but AJ Brown is another one.
Yeah,
I'm not a Jalen Hurts believer as a passer, and I think that coming to Denver, I mean, he's a little bit of a malcontent. I know that, but he's unbelievably talented. I think he's a smart guy as well. So I think he does need to be challenged a little bit. And also the Broncos are the past 2 years. I don't know if any quarterback's thrown more footballs than Bo Nix. I mean, and I know he's the only quarterback who's like played every game, but even like a per game sample, I think he's probably got to be in the top 3. So I'd keep an eye on AJ Brown as well. So we'll see. And my dream is Drake London, but I know that's a dream. Grace says he became a YouTube member. Can't comment. Maybe something's going on with YouTube out there. I'm not sure exactly, but thanks for letting us know. Shannon says Stranad should be a priority. Yeah, it could be Stranad. I really love Caden Ellis from Atlanta. We'll see. Maybe he's going to go back to Atlanta since they retained Ulbrich, but pairing him with his brother and given his blitzing prowess. I mean, if you recall this is very like niche, but things like this stick out in my head during when Drew Sanders was drafted, the person that Sean Payton referenced was Caden Ellis as this total down player that's a weapon as a pass rusher. And Ellis isn't just a pass rusher. He can do more. So it sounds like Vance Joseph's going to be back. We know the scheme will stay relatively the same, and they've loved using their linebackers to blitz. So I would love Caden Ellis. But we'll see how it plays out with that. But, yeah, you're right, Carl. A wide tight end, a between the tackles running back, and a do-it-all linebacker, I think, are the big 3 that you can't leave this offseason without having made a move at.
And I still think wide receiver 1 really is a priority.
Oh, yeah. But, like, you could go into next season. Let's say you bring in Breece Hall. You sign Dallas Goedert, and you bring back the same wide receiver group with 3 of your top 4 being rookie contract players still. This was a team that was 3 points away from the Super Bowl and lost because you lost your quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's dire straits if they don't get a wide receiver 1. They're going to hunt. They're going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
But I think we need a little bit of fandom, not just trying to cut you off, Carl, but I think a little bit of perspective. How far this team got. Now, would it be good to have a go-to weapon? Yes. But maybe pull back some of the fantasy football lensed perspective.
I would agree. I mean, if you have a true run game, like you said, Breece Hall coming in, I think he'd be a great fit for this team because he can offer something in both the pass and the run game. It'd be nice where you have him and RJ Harvey as that 1-2 punch, and you don't know, is it a pass play? Is it a run play? Nobody knows except for Sean Payton or whoever's calling the plays. Maybe if Davis Webb comes back, he might be calling some plays. But I just think of Cortland Sutton, especially this year. I know he made the Pro Bowl, and maybe this is just me being a person of the moment a little bit too, but he had some key drops this year. Big moments. This game, yes, Stidham didn't have the greatest accuracy, but there was a couple of those passes I expect my number 1 wide receiver to come down with, especially on third down plays where it extends the drive. And Sutton couldn't make the catch. And so getting a guy, I know some people in the comments have already said, please, no, AJ Brown. I don't think he's going to be the headache that you've seen with the Eagles. You're going to see the guy that can go for 12 to 1,400 yards passing or receiving and be a huge playmaker, and everybody talking that he's a top 10 wide receiver again. I do think that he would be that here in Denver. And Sean Payton has dealt with problematic receivers before and still got a lot out of them. I mean, Michael Thomas, I know the end result, the last couple of years in New Orleans were not great, but the early part of it was. and he was a problem. So, and I think you've got a good enough locker room. You can take on that kind of talent with that kind of headache and be okay. I think Bo Nix is going to keep him in line. I think you got a lot of other wide receivers that are going to be good around him. And Sean Payton, like I said, he's kind of the guru when it comes to figuring out what's the best way to motivate guys. Mm. And he's going to get 5 to 7 targets a game to AJ Brown that are going to be designated plays with him as the number one target. So I don't think we have to worry as much about that. And maybe a couple years down the road, when he's maybe not getting as many targets because he's a little bit older, a little bit slower, and then maybe he's still thinking he should be that top tier guy, maybe then you start hearing some headaches. But right now, when you're in this window, I think he would be a really good person to consider.
Especially if it doesn't cost you your first round pick. I mean, he's going to be a little older, shorter window. Maybe it's a 2 and a 3. Maybe it's a 3 this year and a future 2. I don't know. But he is definitely a unique player. And man, he is probably one of the strong, him and Puka Nacua, probably the strongest 2 wide receivers in football that are at least like the top kind of guys. I'm sure there's some like offshoot guys who are better, but I'm talking about like the wide receiver ones. They're crazy. Matthew Beatty comes in and says, should the Broncos look at drafting a quarterback late to back up Nix? They're going to keep Stidham. They like Stidham. It was a bad circumstance for him overall. With that said, I think you're probably talking about looking at the draft for a quarterback 3, somebody to take over Sam Ehlinger, or bring in a Zach Wilson-esque quarterback, maybe even trading for a Zach Wilson-esque quarterback. I mean, we've seen it across the league the last 3 years, these discarded former first-round picks that obviously had talent, but maybe not the best infrastructure around them. So I'd be looking out for maybe, would Anthony Richardson be available for a 5th-round pick? Maybe. I was just kind of tossing out some names there, but we'll see. I think it's always a good idea to invest in the quarterback position, even if you have a starter there, just because they are extremely valuable assets on the field, and you want to have a good, talented, competitive room there.
And I think about half the teams in the league most years lose their starter for at least a game or 2. Mm-hmm. So having a backup that doesn't completely derail your season is always have a good idea to have around. And we got Kyle coming in saying Will Levis. I mean, I've heard worse names.
He's talented.
Yeah. There's a reason he was a top 50 pick or top 60 pick in the draft. So I wouldn't mind that. Take a chance on him, just see if you can get anything out of him. And if nothing else, maybe you can flip him for a pick or 2 later down the road. I mean, because quarterbacks, even guys that are, let's say, bottom 10 as starters, they're still worth something, because having a starter quality quarterback, it's big. So I'm not against it by any means. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of names out there I think the Broncos could look at for that quarterback position. I don't mind giving Stidham some competition as well for that backup spot. I mean, I don't think that game was fully on Stidham of why we lost by any means. But Stidham did make some major mistakes. The fumble play, he just tried to do too much. He should have just thrown it at the feet of the running back right off the bat when he saw the play was just not going to work. Your defense is playing great. You don't need to go be hero out there. And I felt like there was times in that game he was trying to be too much hero and not realizing, hey, we've got our defense is cooking right now. And the only way that not the only way, but the main way that we lose this game is if we make some bad mistakes. And unfortunately, that's kind of what the Patriots did. They just said, we're not going to make the mistake.
They didn't. Nope. 2 turnovers. Broncos giveaways. 0 for the Pats. There's your game. We do want to say hello to some more folks in here as we're going to wrap it up here relatively soon. Todd Ostendorf coming in here. Good to see you. Paul says, take the Browns tight end. Yeah, Njoku or Dallas Goedert, I think would make a heck of a lot of sense. Buzz comes in. Don't recognize the name, but a cool logo there. He says, number 1 is a big player, wide receiver 1, period. I think that's like big picture. That's what you would like the most. That's probably the biggest ceiling raiser. I do believe, listening to Sean Payton and things I've heard behind the scenes, that he's a little bit more concerned with the down-to-down effectiveness of the running game this season. One of the reasons that you might see from a personnel perspective. But you had the Broncos fire their wide receiver, and Sean Payton and George Payton come out today to talk about how they like their guys. But wide receiver is really weird, Carl, because they're so deep. It doesn't really make sense to like go with a day 2 guy in here who might be a good 3 or 4. Like, if you're making a move at wide receiver, it needs to be somebody who's a top 15 player, top 10 player at the position, and that'll be costly. But Denver will be aggressive. So I think Sean Payton would say the run game in and of itself is a bigger issue for this team, but it's probably a cheaper, easier fix than wide receiver 1, just because there's a lot on the free agency market, and Denver will have the money and not anything obstructing a player coming in. Like Harvey, good player this year, obviously had a good season, useful piece. He needs to be a 1B to somebody's 1A right now. And Breece Hall, Tony says Breece Hall would be a beast. Yeah, he would. Peter Johnson, the tight end they bring in, has to bring an attitude as well. Don't want another receiver at tight end position that is soft in the blocking game. I mean, we kind of talked about it a lot with Ingram. If you're a tight end and you don't influence opposing defensive personnel, you might as well just have a wide receiver out there. Because if they're matching you up if they're taking a linebacker off the field and you're not able to punish them with the run game, which you weren't able to, you might as well just have a freaking wide receiver who can block. Hot take here, but like, how much more value is Evan Ingram bringing you compared to little Jordan Humphrey? Honestly, I'm honestly asking.
I don't think much. I honestly think it could be, you could make the case for little Jordan Humphrey off bringing more to the table, because he is better run blocker of the two. And Evan Ingram this year, it ended up being essentially when he was a check down player. When everything else kind of fell apart, he just kind of sat in a little zone, 5 yards or in, catch it, run for maybe a few yards. That was what he brought to this offense. He didn't bring downfield ability. He wasn't the guy that you were trying to figure out, hey, he's our number 1 target on this pass play. He wasn't that guy. And so I think he's going to want to move on. I think the Broncos are probably going to want to move on. They're going to realize we made a mistake here. We thought maybe this guy would be a missing piece, that he could really attack the middle of the field and the short and the intermediate. Ended up, he couldn't attack the intermediate part. And so it just became a very limited role, especially when he couldn't run block. So like I said, when he was on the field, you knew probably 95% of the time it's going to be a pass play. And he didn't help your offense at all for having him on the field. That's why Adam Troutman had many more plays available for him than Evan Ingram ever did. And I know most people are not a big fan of Troutman, but he was at least a try-hard guy and offered at least a little bit more nuance in what he could bring to the field in the run and the pass game. So tight end, very big position this offseason, what the Broncos are going to do. But we got Tim Hall coming in with the 199 super saying, what are your thoughts on Waddle? I love Waddle. I've loved him since his freshman year at Alabama. I was talking about Tony for Miami this year. Not Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes. He's a freshman, and just the way that he moves reminds me a lot of when I first saw Waddle, because just the athletic profile was so different. Even at the college level, they're a lot closer, but still there's a few guys that you look at and you say, that guy moves different than everybody else. Waddle was that guy for me. His freshman year, I'm going, if we could get that guy on the Broncos, he would do some damage. And I hate what has happened to him there at Miami. He's had some injury issues, but also just coaching, quarterback, having Tyreek Hill there. You know, he's had a few other things kind of working against him. But you put Waddle into this offense with his yards after catch ability, he's going to go have 1,000-yard season for you. He's going to be a big play possibility every single time he's on the field.
Yeah. If it just cost you 30 to get him, I would be interested. I'm not interested in giving up 30 and what are they going to be picking at? 62 for the other one. But he's a really good player. I don't think he's a superstar wide receiver, but he's definitely in the top 15. And I think he would play off well to what you already have. You probably end up downstream moving a wide receiver that you have in-house because of that, just because of special teams ability. Like, depends, I guess, what you think of Pat Bryant and special teams. I don't know if I want him out there for that. But you typically roster, 5 wide receivers, 6 maybe. And the last one or the last 2 have to be like core 4 special teamers. And I know Mims is a special teamer, but I'm talking like running down, tackling on punts and kick coverage and stuff. So pretty hard. But I think Franklin would be in trouble in that scenario. Maybe Sutton, the different players, of course, but maybe they want to keep those young guys, and maybe Sutton would be down as well. But yeah, Broncos are they're a really talented roster. They have draft picks. They have cap space. I don't think very many people on this roster should feel completely safe going forward. I think everybody's, you lost. We're looking to bring in talent. So get back into the training room, and we'll see you next season. But yeah, Waddle would be good. I just think if the price is what the price was at the deadline, I don't know if I'm interested. I think it was a 1 in multiple 3s. It was pretty high.
Yeah. And that's again where AJ Brown probably isn't going to cost you as much as Waddle will. I think you can get him for a cheaper trade. And so I that's why I kind of lean that direction. We already know Sean Payton has said he likes AJ Brown, that when he was with the Saints that they really looked hard at him, and we're hoping that he would fall to them, and just didn't quite work out that way. So I could definitely see him being willing to look that direction once again. And like I said, nobody is safe on this roster. If Joe Lombardi can be fired, the longtime 15-year friend of Sean Payton, they're going to look hard at this whole thing. And I know I saw a few people make the comment on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, about how George Payton and Sean Payton talked about how they like their wide receivers. What else do you expect them to say?
Yeah.
They're not going to throw anybody under the bus. They're not going to be the Bills owner out there being like, this guy, we wouldn't have drafted him if the coaches weren't here. They're not going to do that. That doesn't mean that they're not going to look at wide receivers, free agency, trade, draft, whatever it's going to be. They're still going to be willing to look to upgrade where they can. And as I said earlier, Sutton is a wide receiver. He's good as a number 2. If you can make him your number 2, that's a much better situation. And as you said earlier, you're not looking to improve on your number 3, 4, 5. You've got to start at the very top if you really want to change how this offense is going to look. Otherwise, you're just adding to a rotation where we're questioning who is even number 2, 3, 4, 5. You're just adding to that mix, and it doesn't make any sense. So I think the Broncos
believe, though, Carl, that if you add what did we get from Adam Troutman this year? Like, God bless him. I know Sean Payton likes him, but like DC player across the board, maybe that's harsh. I don't want him to call me Dragon Slayer 69, but like if you can get anything from that Y tight end position with, I think fair to say, expected development from your rookie contract players. I mean, what we saw from Mims down the stretch this year, you got to get him the freaking ball at this point. I think he's still a young player too. Franklin's the youngest one on the team. And when Pat Bryant was out there, he looked good. So there is some urgency to improve the offensive playmakers, of course. But I think it can be through Y tight end and especially running back. And I think Sean Payton would agree about the running back. Now, of course, I think they are going to try to make a move there. But again, I just don't think it's this, if we don't do this, we're screwed perspective that I feel like a lot of people are painting it as in Broncos country.
No, I agree. I think, as you said, the way Marvin Mims played at the end of the season, you've got to figure out a better way to get him involved in the offense on a regular basis. Troy Franklin, I had my issues a little bit with him, but at the same time, he put up, 700 yards?
Mm-hmm.
not bad for a second season for him, especially after he looked his rookie season. And
He's a
as
Gabe
you
Davis
said,
role player, wide receiver. He's a Gabe Davis role, right? Like a
yeah,
stretch.
yeah. And Pat Bryant,
contract, that's a good player.
Yeah,
you have like a bunch of those 3-4s.
Yeah, and Pat Bryant just got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
If he can stay on the field, he can be an actual difference maker for this offense. So I agree. I don't think you absolutely have to add a number one wide receiver. You improve tight end, you improve the run game. It makes those wide receivers look even better overall. If you can get a tight end that can give you 700 yards receiving, doesn't even have to be a top 5 tight end. If you can get a guy that's top 12, top 14, and it's not just as a receiving option, but can help in the run game as well. I can't imagine how that would change this offense. When a team,
how many tight ends do you think got over 700 yards this year in the regular season?
A bunch of them were banged up, so I'd only say maybe 3 or 4.
9.
Okay.
9. 2 rookies. 3 rookies. Wow. What a draft class. And not many of them are like these true Ys. So obviously you have Trey McBride. I'm calling the Cardinals on Trey McBride. I'm giving up 30 for Trey McBride. Kyle Pitts, if he's available, he's number 2. The only 1,000-yard was Kyle Pitts. Trey McBride. After that, Kyle Pitts, Juwan Johnson, who the Broncos could have signed, right? He was a free agent and got Evan Ingram instead. Travis Kelce, Tyler Warren, Dalton Schultz, Hunter Henry, Harold Fannin, Colston Loveland. So, I mean, heck, if I could even get Carl 500 yards, if he can be a plus player in the ground game rather than what we saw this year, I'd be ecstatic. And I think that would help the offense holistically this season as well. But yeah, not a lot. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I'm always a little bit skeptical. Granted, this last draft looking like an outlier there, but drafting a tight end early a lot of times takes time, and the ROI statistically compared to wide receiver is much lower. So it's tough. That's one reason I'm also a little bit scared of Kenyon Sadiq. Great athlete. I don't know if he's a great football player yet, if that makes sense. Honestly, I like the other tight end at Oregon better, but he's going back. So keep an eye out for him for 2027 draft. Zach wants to talk about Von Miller. Says he wants to come here. Denver's so deep at edge that the only way I see them bringing in an edge is probably through the draft, just because then you have a 4-year cost-controlled upswing player. But, I mean, I guess if a team is coming and calling and offering a 2 for Jonathan Cooper or a 3 for Jonah Ellis, maybe that opens up a position. Those are guys that you like having them on their team, but they're not such like difference makers that I'm not like listening to what the market is for them in the trades. But the Broncos team is pretty deep at edge that outside of, a rookie contract player, I don't know if it makes the most sense.
I'm with you. I mean, Cooper would be the one that maybe you could get a decent offer that you're willing to move on because you like Ellis. Robinson had a good close to the season. You feel good about his future. I know they even talked about him in the press conference, that they think he could end up being the best defensive player of this draft. And
I mean, you know how I felt about him.
Yeah.
I tried to sneak him in every damn mock that I had. More for the special teams, but I just knew he was an athlete.
Yeah.
He's coming, man. Yeah.
He is. He did. He looked really good in that playoff game and loved watching him throw Drake May to the ground like that. And so maybe you do look at Cooper and say, hey, this is one of those contracts we can get out of. We can get something back in return. And our younger guys get more of an opportunity. Von Miller, I mean, my biggest issue there is he's older. What kind of contract is he looking for? And then him not being a special teams guy. What do you do with that when he's not a starter?
Yeah.
You're going to have a very limited role for him. And I get he wants to come and mentor these guys. To me, it's retire and then come coach. That would be the better way for him to actually come back and be a part of the Denver Broncos. I don't think there's any other way that he comes back to Denver right now.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So as we wrap it up here, Carl, thanks to everybody in the chat hanging out with us today. A good show. It is unfortunate the first half of the Broncos season's over, but damn, what a great season it has been, and a lot of fun with you guys. The news, the Broncos are moving on from offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi, as well as wide receiver coach Kerry Colbert and cornerbacks coach Addison Lynch. I'll be very curious to hear a little bit more details about the cornerbacks coach being gone, given the talent they have in the room. I don't know if it's a Jade Barron related firing. The one that I am most surprised about, Carl, as we wrap it up, I don't even know who it is specifically, but I guess two positions, the running backs coach and the tight ends coach. I don't know how anybody could be satisfied with the development and the usage we saw this season. And maybe that falls under more of the Joe Lombardi umbrella, and maybe it's hard to fire all of your offensive skill coaches. I don't know if you really want to do that, but those other two maybe on notice.
I would agree. I don't think you can look at what they did this year and be happy about it. J.K. Dobbins was an already known player. You knew this is a guy that can come in and average 5 yards carry, that he can be a big guy between the tackles, that he has very good vision. That didn't take any coaching to get that out of him this year. And R.J. Harvey, I almost felt there was times where he was regressing as the season went on, where his vision, he stopped trusting it more and more as the year went on, which you saw that he would hang out in the backfield. And I've talked about it before. I had that problem when I was a running back, where I'd just kind of sit back there and my feet would be moving real quick. And my coach didn't exactly like that. He said, Carl, he'd say, Dumler, hit the hole. And I mean, yeah, I know it. And he just said, just go.
Make any jokes.
I know we're not going to make any jokes about that. And there's times where it felt that way with RJ Harvey this year. There was even a play in this game, and there was a really nice cutback lane on one of the runs, and he just ran into the pile. And it was just going, man, that is something I know it can only be coached up to a level. It still takes instincts by the player to kind of see how things are developing and know where to go. But still, it felt like he just kind of reached that point of, okay, this is where the play is supposed to go. This is exactly where I'm going to go. And I'm going to hope that it's blocked just perfect for me. It's hard to have much of a run game if that's going to be the case.
Man, it definitely feels like that's the thing that they are most interested in improving from a overall team output next season. But football is so interconnected, Carl. It's this kind of talk out of both sides of my mouth here on this one, but you know what, on this team probably improved the running back output almost more than anything else? A wide receiver one. If you're constantly playing light boxes and accounting for that guy creating space, it's a space game. It's dictating personnel and coverage. So we'll see. I think it's a lot more personnel that's involved in the running game directly, but we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, shout out to everybody coming in here today. Some great super chats. Papa Bear coming in. Steve Bumgarner, happy 4 months. Deanna Hendry, $50. Followed by Shannon Mills, who's been one of our relatively new last 6 to 8 weeks, but has been great energy in the chat, good comments, and very generous. So shout out to you, Shannon. Hope you're doing well. Denver Luke in here as well. Michael Ronquillo, of course. New one here, Matthew, coming in asking about the backup quarterbacks. We'll have plenty of time to talk about draft. It's not a great quarterback draft. I don't know if I'm seeing right now, Carl, the Shrine Game's going on, and Iowa quarterback Mark Gronowski is apparently dealing right now. So he's a big athlete. He could probably do that Taysom Hill stuff somewhat for the Broncos. I mean, he is an athlete. And then also Tim Hall coming in about Waddle. So shout out to you guys. A lot of fun. Unfortunate the season ended, but I don't know. I have a lot of gratitude for how this season went. I really did enjoy it despite not reaching the mountaintop. Maybe part of that is because I think the Seahawks, without Bo Nix, I think the Seahawks probably would have obliterated Denver. So I feel like it was coming to an end anyway, but it would have been nice to have the shot. You never know. Sam Darnold could have had a 5 interception game, as he's sometimes can put the ball in harm's way. But yeah. We'll never know. We'll never know. But Carl's at Carl Dumler MHH. I'm at Kendell MHH. Also follow us at Mile High Huddle. We're at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. And as the ticker says there underneath, please subscribe, like, and share. Carl, final thoughts before we get out of here, before we talk again next Tuesday?
No, I'm with you. I mean, we got to keep in mind the entire season 15-3 with the playoff winner, 15-4, I guess, now with the playoff loss too. But for the team to get where they did, to win the division, we do know that we have a quarterback. I mean, that to me, that's the biggest news. Bo Nix is the guy. We know that he's going to be here for quite a while. And I don't think it's just Sean Payton that's done that for him. I really think he's a very talented guy. He's athletic, he's smart, hardworking. He shows up big in the biggest moments, and he can sling it. He doesn't have Josh Allen's arm, but the guy can still drive the football as much as you need him to. So I think this is going to be a huge offseason. Broncos can be aggressive. Coaching staff's going to look interesting. I'm very interested to see how that all looks here in the next week or so. But there's going to be a lot of news going on, guys. So make sure you stick around with Mile High Huddle.
Yeah, we will see what happens. But thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. What a great year. Click the thumbs up on the way out, everybody. And if you have any questions, hit us up on the Twitter X machine. Have a great rest of your night. Going to be an enjoyable offseason. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I always appreciate you guys. Go Broncos.